Yeah, we just give it a second. There's no desktop audio going through, so it's literally just us talking.
So is it going?
It should be here in a minute. Yeah, it'll pop up. There it is. Okay, so this way we can see chat and stuff. So, hey guys, welcome. So this is one of the first times that I've been live on YouTube in a hot minute. Jesus, guys, think about that. Think about that. Okay, so as you guys can see, it's a Walking Dead podcast, more or less. We're just vibing out. We got Rush Dragon with us because I just finished my stream for The Walking Dead Season 3, The New Frontier. And we got to talking about it, and we thought it'd be a good idea to just come here and just vibe out and talk about it. So that's exactly what we're going to do. I mean, leaving off where we left off over there, we were discussing on how Negan could actually truly be the good guy of the series. I don't know what you guys would feel about that, but it's definitely a big topic right now for both of us. I don't know where you want to start or what do you want to do?
Well, I mean, if we're going to kind of rebrief on what we were talking about over there is, I kind of feel that Negan is going to be, well, not going to be, but is the, well, I wouldn't say good guy, but he's better than the rest of them. Because, Rick has taken on quite a bit of different traits from all the other people that he's faced. I mean, in the beginning, he wasn't bad. I kind of understood where he went with killing his brother because, well, his brother kind of went psycho. But, I mean, over time, it just kept on growing and his attitude has changed so much to where he's not really fighting for a good cause anymore. But with Negan, he fell victim to Rick's actions back in the prison, actually, and Rick goes in, taking out one of his outposts, killing multiple of his men, burns the place down, and Rick gets all pissed off because Negan fights back.
Yeah, he does fight back. I mean, his actions really did affect... Rick's actions really did affect what ended up happening. I mean, I get that there was somebody captured theirs, but it didn't mean that they had to.
Yeah.
They could have worked something out.
You could always trade supplies for your person back.
Yeah. You could always do stuff like that.
Negotiation is key most times. Violence usually leads to more violence, so, it's kind of opinion over anything. It's just our opinions. Everyone will have their different opinions, but that's kind of ours.
I mean, well, if we really want to get into the factor of everything else that's been happening, like, it's a big thing here, especially because, like, it's a big, giant thing for us to be talking about it, really.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only after the fact of what he did. Like, I get that he was on a good mission to start with. Like, he really was. He had the right idea.
Yeah. But it quickly, well, not really quickly, but it gradually over time turned into something bad.
I got distracted. I'm sorry.
Partially me too. So I'm multitasking over here.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. But yeah, guys, it's a big thing for like the Walking Dead season. Like, you gotta think about it. We all thought it'd be probably a 2-3 seasoner, and then out of nowhere it blew up.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I remember right around the time that Negan came into the series, I was sitting there and I was sitting in my living room. My family was like, you know what, let's sit down and let's watch this. Let's have fun with it. And we ended up sitting down, having milkshakes every weekend, just sitting there watching it. Anytime there was a new episode, we had, the whole Comcast feature where we could pause it and everything,
yeah.
in case any of us had to go to the bathroom. So it was actually super easy to get up and get stuff done that way. But we used to sit around, we used to talk about how much we hated Negan. And as I got older, and I don't know how my family feels about it, but I was sitting there and we were talking about it, and it was kind of fucked up, man. It really was. Like, if you think about it, like, everyone thought he was a bad guy at first. I mean, I still do have my doubts. I'm not gonna lie, I have my doubts.
Yeah.
But it's one of those of see where it goes.
Yeah.
Now, if we want to talk about some other base characters, I mean, give me just a second, and we will see what topics we can find. Okay, so this is something from the wiki, I guess. We will definitely see about it. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's talk about Daryl.
Okay.
I guess there's something on here about this person has been watching since season 2. And notice the character development of Daryl himself. So, season 1, it really wasn't too much of a thing.
Yeah.
I think season 2 is when everything started affecting Daryl and everybody. Was it at the end of season 2 or season 1 when when old boy died, the other police officer, the one that was with his wife.
I want to say it was season 1.
Oh yeah, I think that was the end of season 1, wasn't it?
Yeah, because he was kind of like I think season 1 he was kind of like the bad guy, if you will. Air quotes on that. Because, I mean, I get where he was coming from. He thought that Rick died. So it's not like a whole thing of... He wasn't really in the wrong being with Rick's wife, if they had chemistry and all that, but at the same time, I guess I can kind of understand where Rick was coming from, because I'd be pissed too. But there was probably different ways that could have been dealt with, but I mean, at the same time, that guy kind of went cuckoo. He kind of got a little hostile. And
I was just supposed to bring that point into light there, because it's one of those that if we really think about it, that it's kind of fucked. It really is. It kind of is. Because at the end of that, I mean, it was going good for a minute. You know, everyone was happy-go-lucky, and, you know, everything was working. And then his best friend, his brother, whatever you want to call him, decided to snap and threaten to kill his wife. But I get that. But that didn't mean result in killing him. That could have been, you know, kick his ass out of the group or shoot him in the kneecap.
Yeah. I think the more that Rick has killed, the more he loses his own humanity.
I've gotten that vibe too, but back to the Daryl discussion, what I was trying to bring up is the little girl that Daryl protected with his life. Yeah. And then watching her die. That was a big character development for any of us. Like, it really was. It was a big subject. I remember watching it and crying my eyes out because you get so emotionally attached to these characters. It was kind of fucked.
Like me with Glenn.
Yeah,
because I remember that scare with Glenn when that first time when you're like, oh my god, he died. And in reality, he did the smart thing and quickly crawled underneath the dumpster so he didn't get eaten. But I mean, shit, they ended the episode there. I was like, oh god, he's dead.
I mean, this is another reason I've been playing through like The Walking Dead, like I have. Is because in season 1 you actually get Glenn as one of your followers, and you can choose as as playing with Clementine and all them to either let him go to the group with Michonne and them.
Oh, okay.
Or you can request that he stays. He wanted to find his original group, and me just playing based along the storyline of it, I went ahead and I was like, yeah, you know what, take him, let him go, let him do what he's got to do. But it's a big thing for all of us to sit here and think about, like the character developments of each character. There was some of them that I wish that hadn't gone away. Like today, we were implemented with Telltale's version of Jesus.
Yeah.
Of Paul, and it definitely didn't add up to the Jesus that we all know and love. At least not at the start.
Yeah.
Like he's a scavenger, you know. He's more on the lines of let me do what I got to do, and that'll be it. But it's also on the whole factors of like his character development in the show. He becomes Maggie's right-hand man, you know, does what he has to get everything done, and just does whatever. I mean, these are topics that could be talked about for hours. Like, here recently I've caught myself, you know, watching more and more of The Walking Dead, and, you know, as you've seen for the past 3 days since I've been down with my stuff, I've been going through and I watched old 23 movies of, you know, what led up to Endgame. And in fact, it's still sitting over there. It's still sitting right over there waiting to be resumed for me going back and finding secrets. I found a few of them, but The Walking Dead definitely seems to be like a big time show. Like it's kind of like Sons of Anarchy when that came out. Like it was a really big show. Everybody loved it. And a lot of friend groups could relate, and that's really what built some friend groups and what destroyed some. But the same implement goes into, except for an apocalypse factor of what's going on there in The Walking Dead. Like, Carl, I miss that little fucker already.
Yeah.
He had a very big character development throughout the entire storyline. Like, he started out this weak, defenseless kid. He ended up killing his mother after she turned. He protected his baby sister. He went to Negan's hideout, and did whatever he did there. We didn't really get too much storyline on that, and that kind of hurt.
Yeah.
But one thing that I cannot forgive Negan for is also at the same time that Carl was over at the compound, so was Daryl. Daryl was locked in a fucking box.
Yeah.
And it was a big, you know, character development for Carl because Carl knew he was there and didn't do anything about it. That showed some of our self-preservation right in there. At the same time, we're bouncing around from timeline to timeline on this, but if we really want to focus on a character that had a steady character development, it would be Carl.
Yeah.
He, like I said, killed his mom, went to Negan's outpost, lost his eye because a bunch of kids thought that they were fucking funny, and because he liked a girl. Fucking puberty, man. And then he risks everything to save Negan and his dad at the same time, ends up getting bit and dies, or so we're led to believe. There was a burial for him, but no one ever said whether or not he turned.
Sure.
Which means that could be a really big character development inside of Michonne and all them, because we all know who had to pull that trigger if he wasn't dead.
Yep.
It was kind of fucked. It really was. It fucked me up big time. Like
then you could also think in the darker side of things, Carl could have, instead of somebody having to pull the trigger, maybe he did it himself. Not wanting anybody else to have to go through that because, as you said, he had to do it to his mom, which it hurt him.
At the same time, if we're talking about him shooting himself, I don't believe that he shot himself. Because they didn't come back. No, they buried him right after. Mm. So, and it was all because he tried to be like Michonne and help people out. In the proper way, not like his dad and do it, you know, and more of a controlling factor, go through all this. Yeah. And I think after Rick's disappearance, Michonne went downhill big time because we see at the end of the last season that I was watching that survivor group that was actually in the Walking Dead Telltale games. It was 400 Days was the episode, and all those survivors, 3 of them, ended up showing up at camp because Jesus brought them back after saving them. Mm. And Michonne got super hostile and was super protective over the baby. Judith, do you believe? Judith, right?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, she was super protective over Judith and ended up almost shooting the little girl right there in the middle of the courthouse. And it fucked me up, man. With Rick's disappearance, Michonne stepped up, but at the same time, because of Carl's death, because that, whether we all like to admit it or not, that was Carl's mom.
Yeah, yeah.
There was all like, they really implemented into the, at first, it takes a village to raise a child. But at the same time, the two biggest people that had an influence on him, it wasn't even Rick, and that's what hurt the most. It was Daryl and Michonne, who had the biggest influence on Carl's upbringing. And then Carl and Michonne had more or less the biggest impact on Judith.
Yeah. Because Rick was, unfortunately, he was too busy focusing on who was going to be controlled next. Because look at the prison. He had the governor. That could have more than likely been avoided if he would have just kept his head out of their business. Stop digging when he should have just left well enough be.
He really should have, in all honesty.
It wasn't his people to protect. I get that he wanted to try to help the people there, but in all reality, it wasn't his people to protect, which caused everyone to then... It caused way more death than what needed to be. Because everybody from that town, they wanted to defend their town. He wanted to defend his prison.
At the same time, he has a warden factor at that point in time where justice needs to be served. He thinks he's judge, jury, and executioner. But if he would have taken the time to actually think about what he was doing before he did it, I'm pretty sure a lot more people would be alive.
Yeah.
Especially, Abraham and them. If he would have kept his nose out of it, Abraham would be alive, so would Glenn.
Yep.
And at first, when I first started tuning in, I didn't understand that factor because I thought that Negan just came out of nowhere. And then I started piecing it together whenever I sat down and I watched all of it on Netflix. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes way more sense than what it did before.
Yeah.
But it's just a fact of the controlling factor. We're not trying to turn him into a bad guy. This is our personal opinions on it. Rick was, the biggest franchise selling
He's
character.
one of my favorite characters.
Actually. Oh, yeah.
But unfortunately, on his decisions, he's... How I see it is, there's really no bad guy, no good guy when it comes to a zombie apocalypse. They're all just trying to survive. But everybody has their own way of thinking about surviving. You have your warlord thoughts where you want to just kind of grow your community with power and force. And then you have more of the passive of, let's just protect the people that we have, don't let many people in.
Make deals where we can, compromise where you can,
where we can
don't
trade
compromise
with
where you
people,
won't.
do stuff like that, but not grow the community, but keep it stable.
Kind of like the Kingdom was trying to do. That brings us into the Kingdom because that's the way that was their mindset.
Yep, they had little lawful rules of just keeping peace, but there wasn't really a warlord, if you will. There wasn't somebody fully running the show.
No, it was a council effort, which is what I think would probably be best for a zombie apocalypse when you're making a settlement. I get that there will be way more tension there than there would be with just one person.
Oh, yeah, but...
It's just the best way to preserve the best outcomes and get everything done.
That way, it's kind of everybody's voice is being heard instead of just one person's. So then it keeps some peace within your community.
Let's look into their the places that they've decided to defend. Before Alexandria, it was if we look back, the base building and defense has actually gone down.
Yeah.
As people ease into the life of a zombie apocalypse in the show, and then they find Alexandria. Now that's a big point in time for Rick. Because when he's taken in and he's questioned and interviewed to see if he'd be good for the community, if you remember right, he straight admitted to killing dead things and alive people just for threatening his group. Now, I'm pretty sure if they would have never accepted him, he probably would have become the warlord factor fully and gone in and killed everyone, and whoever was left would be whoever's left.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they did a good thing because of old boy abusing old girl. And I really do think that if he hadn't taken the action that he did whenever he was told to kill him, like right there in front of his kids, man, like come on.
Yeah.
In front of the kids, that was fucked. Like,
yeah.
If it came down to it and I had a choice in the zombie apocalypse, I'm pretty sure you'd do the same thing if you had kids. It would be one of those of, let's take this elsewhere.
Take the dirty dealings away from the community to where they don't have to see it and remember that. There was actually a zombie apocalypse. We're just talking about how we can survive now. Yeah, but, what was your personal favorite place that they ever settled?
It would have to be their temporary outpost that was based out of the diner. They stayed there for a few episodes, but in all reality, if you would have looked at it, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people in the fan base caught on to it, that would have been the perfect place to set up. There was trucks ready to go, could be moved. Yeah, it would have taken some time, but it would have been one of the perfect defenses because it wouldn't be that hard to take the lovely tow truck that was sitting on the side of the building, detach the trailers from the semis, and just tip them over. Now, my all-time permanent favorite base that they could have made would probably be the prison because there was so much there that could have been a sustainable community.
Oh, yeah. And they did. They ended up thriving from that for couple episodes.
Oh yeah, I think the time-lapse period inside the show was about a year and a half, because you see, because she was just pregnant right before everything, which made it not Daryl's, but Rick's kid. Mm-hmm. Judith is Rick's, and 9 months later we see this little baby, and then that time-lapse comes in for that baby to grow into about a 6-month-old, which makes it about a year and a half.
Yeah.
And then the governor, but it seems like the show likes to go ahead and do times of peace and then fuck everything up.
Yeah.
I think that's what keeps everybody hooked, is because the next bad guy.
Mm-hmm. Now, if we're going to talk about, so I'm going to go on to a topic of kind of not really my favorite villain group, but they're not my favorite, but I definitely think they were smart. That was that creepy-ass lady where they tore off the faces of the zombies and wore them.
That was actually extremely smart. Telltale implemented that into the game as well, where because twice now in the series we've watched Clementine.
Just rip one off. There you go. But, yeah, it was smart because they just walk by and walk in the horde. And it's honestly one of the best ways to get around. But you'd have to get past the whole, you're wearing a zombie's face.
You're wearing somebody else's face. Like, I'm pretty sure Leatherface wouldn't have a problem with that.
Well, yeah. That's a whole nother term of Two-Faced. But, yeah. And then also, because at first I never really thought of it until it happened. But, I mean, when Rick, Glenn, and the rest of them were around the beginning of the seasons. I think it was actually season 1 where they covered themselves in the guts.
Yeah.
And walked out and just walked among them because they smelt like the zombies. They smelt dead. Zombies aren't going to go after what's dead.
But it's definitely a big factor into it. Like, Rick knew about it, but there were so many times where they could have used it and implemented it into it. Like the assault on Negan's camp.
Yeah.
Like, that could have been really big because they knew the herd was coming. They really easily could have just killed one and controlled the group, such as the shows are called, the Skinwalkers do. It would have been way too easy.
Yeah.
But as we all know, the writer and director haven't exactly wanted to make things easy on any of the character base lines or anything like that. Your favorite sabotage, what was it?
Ooh. Mm. That's a tough one. Here, let's, because there's a lot, so, kind of specify throughout something.
Like the use of the undead to infiltrate or do anything. What was your favorite one?
Probably when they were fighting Negan's group and they shot, about 1 to 2 of the people and killed them with body shots and waited for them to turn and start attacking their own.
That was definitely a good one. My favorite one would have to be the scene in the prison where the prisoners, right before they're discovered, end up killing one of the other prisoners and unleashing it on the rest of the prison. That was definitely a good one.
Yeah, that was.
It was smart, considering they had no idea it would work. And we learned that later on in that episode that they had no idea it was going to work, but they were just trying to secure a sector.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it could have been a corresponding side-by-side there, but it wasn't because Rick is dick.
Yeah. But, I mean, we'll kind of take the heat off of Rick for a second, because in some cases, I do agree with what he did throughout the seasons, because, I mean, if we take into consideration on his way of trying to survive and keep his community going, he was smart about how he did things, like when he would bury his weapons before going into the governor's town to make sure that he had guns. Or actually, no, that was Alexandria.
Yeah.
He buried all of his weapons before going in, so they had a stockpile of weapons just in case he needed to take it by force. And he ended up needing that stockpile.
Which was a good idea, but at the same time, he should have probably disclosed the location to at least some of the trusted members of the group. Because Daryl, without his crossbow, he's pretty lost. He looked like a lost puppy.
Yeah. But, Oh, yeah, remember the time in the prison when people kept on getting sick and Carol was the one that was offing them?
Yeah. Yeah, that was fucked.
Which, it was smart, though, because they would die in turn and roam around the prison.
I mean, what was your favorite use of the, of everything that was going on? Like using the zombies for certain things.
Michonne. When you first meet her.
Oh, yeah, walking around.
Cut off their arms, cut off their jaw, and they're your little mutants. And having the zombies, it kept the zombies from attracting to her. So she could walk through hordes. Well, of course, to an extent. But if they started getting aggroed to her, she'd just cut off their head. Which, that katana. You gotta love that. Michonne with her katana. That was awesome.
I mean, that would bring us on to the factor of, like, weapons and stuff. I really want to talk about weapons. Like,
Ooh.
we gotta think. Rick didn't get his hatchet until about, season 4?
Yeah.
But my all-time favorite weapon has to be the Colt that he carries. It has so many interchangeable parts and it's not even funny, and it definitely helped out quite a bit.
Yeah. That's like an iconic weapon in that in that show. Because he always had it.
But if I had to go with any of them, I don't remember the little girl's name, and that's what pisses me off the most. The one that Daryl was attached to. Her scissors that she kept with her since, they first met her, and they finally came in handy. Like, them scissors are them old-fashioned scissors that never go dull. And that was a good weapon. Like, I mean, we could go with, Lucille, but Lucille was just...
It's barbed wire bat.
But out of the more creative weapons, I'm going to go with Glenn's lovely little slingshot.
Yeah. Because it was quiet, and it got the job done.
And I feel like it would have been more effective later on in the series after the dead had been roaming for a little bit more. And,
got more mutated and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been way easier when the skull was softer.
And let's go on to that topic. Attention to detail. Season 1, Episode 1. The zombies looked human. As time went on, they looked more disfigured and nasty.
Oh,
because
dude.
the longer time went on, the more they decayed. Which was good attention to detail.
It was amazing attention to detail.
Because, occasionally you would see the more recent looking changed. But it kind of gives you that time frame of, oh, this zombie's looking really messed up. This one's been turned for a while. But yet this one still looks halfway human. That was more recent.
Yeah, it was definitely a big, attention to detail-wise,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how the fuck they did it with the open road scenes and stuff, because there had to have been traffic, and they actually went out, and there was an interview with Daryl's, the person who plays Daryl, and he straight said, he's like, dude, we went out into the middle of the fucking burning hot sun in the middle of summer, and it added all more to it, and the makeup, that's what really helped the aging effect, and he was just talking about it. Now, if we want to talk about outside of show, the characters themselves, what I think was funny as hell is when the director hired the zombie dude to scare the fuck out of Daryl's character.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I can bring that up without getting copyrighted, but dude, that was funny as hell.
It was. It's been a while since I've seen that one.
One of my other big time favorite ones is the prank that was pulled on Rick's character by Daryl's actor. It was funny as shit when he got him in the closet, just waited. This man waited in the closet.
I saw that one.
Oh, you gotta look it up. It's fucking amazing. Oh, it was funny as shit. He waited in the closet, waited till after Rick's actor got out of the shower and was sitting there in his room, just chilling out in the hotel room, and he popped out the closet with the crossbow. And let me tell you, man, oh, that was some great shit. That's some shit that would happen in a friend group. That's the thing is, because from what I understand, when, they were all first brought on the set, they hated each other. But after a while of hanging out, rehearsing and everything, they became best friends. And it was pretty cool to watch, outside of a show where two best friends inside the show end up becoming best friends outside of the show. If we think about it, it's kind of like our little group that we had, because when we first met, we didn't know each other at all.
No.
I'm going to be honest, guys, until, the end of 2020, we had no idea what the other one looked like, really.
Yeah. That's when you ended up coming up here, and you were living here for a little bit, and we just decided to reach out to each other and end up meeting up at the pub here in town, and we ended up starting to play pool. And from there, now we have the pool table. I come here all the time.
Just to play some pool inside the office.
Yeah, and just hang out. It's great to just have conversations and just do stuff like this.
And mind you, guys, this relationship that's been building right here is over the past 7 years now.
Yeah.
When I first got my first PS4, we were both mutual friends with Austin, and Austin introduced me to you and Corey.
Yep.
And it was definitely a lot of fun. When I first moved up here, it was big time fun, because I knew you guys lived up here,
Yep.
but I didn't know where. I had no idea you guys were inside New Carlisle.
Made it that much more easy.
And I ended up, how it happened is I ended up texting Corey, be like, hey man, you want to hang out? What's your address? I'll come over and just vibe for a minute. And I went over there, and I realized that he was a walking distance away, and it freaked me out for a minute. It really did. It freaked me out. And then I ended up...
literally live in between me and Corey.
I do, and it's funny.
The exact in between. Halfway. It couldn't have been any more perfect.
It was definitely a lot of fun to do that, because I ended up hitting him up, and then me and Corey ended up calling him, fucking with him, just like, guess who? And immediately
And the voice,
he knew.
The voice instantly, I was like, oh my god, that's Will.
And then ended up going down to the pub one night when I was off work, and that was that's where it all started. Just saying hi to friends that you make, the implements from the show. It's just the longer you spend with people, the more you'll get to recognize voices and stuff like that. This motherfucker pulled a new one on me last week when he went ahead and did Mrs. Doubtfire over the phone. And I was like, who the fuck is this? Because I had to get a replacement phone because mine went out. And, well, that was not a fun time to...
Opportunities made its way into being perfect timing. Because I actually, how that started was I forgot that your phone broke. And I went to call you just to figure out where you were. And forgot, hey, duh, he doesn't have a phone until that phone then answered. And it was your voice. I was like, oh, can't pass up this opportunity. Hello! Hello, dear.
But yeah, guys, it's definitely a fun topic. I mean, we're going to have to do a little bit more if we want to do another one of these. But I think I'm going to end it because I don't really have much else to, add on to the theory that Rick truly is the main protagonist throughout the entire season, the entire show. But if we want to talk about your least favorite death in the series.
Least favorite death?
Like the one that upset you the most and almost made you quit watching the show.
Glenn.
You know what's funny? Mine was Old Girl. That made me actually stop watching the show until about season 9.
Yeah. I mean, I was upset about that, but I mean, I was kind of catching up because I didn't start watching until 2 years ago, maybe. And I was kind of just start from the beginning on Netflix and just was binge watching. And yeah, I did get to the point where I was like, I don't know if I want to watch this anymore. And then I ended up going into the next episode, continued on. But with Glenn, it was one of those, as soon as it happened, I was like, oh, you motherfucker.
Because he just found out Maggie was pregnant.
Yeah, because it was, he gets hit on the head, and then he gets hit again. And I think actually, the second time, that's when he comes up into camera and his skull is just dented in.
And then we watch as...
and then Negan says, oh, you're a tough boy. And does it a third time.
And then proceeds to smash both Abraham and Glenn's brains into the ground. And we get a nice out scene of that for the beginning of the episode.
And at that point, I was like, you know what? No, I started walking away. I was like, this is bullshit. Because they were both my favorite character. I didn't want them both, especially for them both to die at the same time.
Oh yeah, that was a big one, man.
That hurt me in the feelers. And I was like, I walked away. I was debating. I'm done. I'm not going to watch it anymore. Screw Negan. I'm done. I don't like him. And then I ended up sitting back down and continued watching. But that was because my mom wanted to watch, and I just figured, okay, I'll just finish this episode. And then, of course, it's the same way with how all the other episodes are. Gotcha! They always hook you back in.
Always.
It's always the little surprise features right at the end where it leaves you on that little cliffhanger. You're like, I want more.
And that's what we call good communist marketing. Alright, guys. Well, that is going to do it for us. I will see you guys later on tonight whenever we are going ahead and doing the Ender Dragon fight over on Twitch. So if you guys see this before then, Twitch will be, always up there. It's always up in the click button. All you gotta do is click on it and it'll pop up and you'll be able to see us take on the Ender Dragon and probably make him piss himself. But tomorrow night you guys get to watch as Slave Russell comes back for the forest. I went for your shoulder and ended up with your beard. But yeah, guys, we will see you guys next time. My name is JC Wolfsbane.
My name's Rust Dragon 2.